Francisco, the two greatest cities in the world.
Steps that the administration is taking
No,
to do that,
I
or what are
haven't
other steps that the administration is taking
No,
to do that,
I
or what are
haven't
other cities as well?
I haven't spoken to the mayor. He's grossly incompetent. I haven't spoken to the mayor. No. When we're ready, we'll go in and we'll straighten out Chicago, just like we did DC. Chicago is very dangerous, great place. I built great stuff there. I have the most beautiful building in Chicago, I think. But I hate to see what's happened to Chicago. Chicago was our greatest city, actually. Bob Tisch, a great friend of mine, passed away. He used to own the Giants and very successful Lowe's. He said Chicago, I think they had their main office in Chicago. He said Chicago and San Francisco, the two greatest cities in the world. Now you look at what the Democrats have done to San Francisco. They've destroyed it. I own a big job.
Law enforcement alone does not keep communities safe. Law enforcement agrees with me on that. How do you send police officers into communities when there's little access to affordable housing?
Yeah. I'm gonna play this just one more time because we just need to play
steps that the administration is taking
No,
to do that,
I
or what are
haven't
other cities as well?
I haven't spoken to the mayor. He's grossly incompetent. I haven't spoken to the mayor. No. When we're ready, we'll go in and we'll straighten out Chicago, just like we did DC. Chicago is very dangerous, great place. I built great stuff there. I have the most beautiful building in Chicago, I think. But I hate to see what's happened to Chicago. Chicago was our greatest city, actually. Bob Tisch, a great friend of mine, passed away. He used to own the Giants and very successful Lowe's. He said Chicago, I think they had their main office in Chicago. He said Chicago and San Francisco, the two greatest cities in the world. Now you look at what the Democrats have done to San Francisco. They've destroyed it. I own a big job.
Law enforcement alone does not keep communities safe. Law enforcement agrees with me on that. How do you send police officers into communities when there's little access to affordable housing?
All right. So, what's up? My name is ZOE. I am one of the members of Chicago Flips Red. And I also have this thing called ZOE RANT. Trying to figure out something so I can go try to come on every day. But my rants this week are starting. I did a rant yesterday as well. Came to the signatures, but the teen takeovers or riots. People get mad that I say it's riots, but I mean, y'all love to use the riot word when it's convenient to you, the Democratic side, the progressive activist Democrat side. So it is what it is. People always ask me my thoughts about the teen takeovers and the riots and the teen takeovers. And I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to give you how I feel. And I'm also going to give you the solution that I came up with when I first came back to Chicago and saw the issue and the problem and talked to Monique Scott about it. Monique Scott was one of the only aldermen in the beginning that, we would talk on the phone. I thought that, she understood what was going on. She basically broke down a couple things, like when it came to them trying to knock people property down on the west side, they had to run and hurry up and stop it and stuff like that. So she understood where it's coming from. And that during that time, it also was the migrant crisis is out of control. Just, this was when I was getting into it and trying to figure out what was happening. I was untangling the corruption cords. So you got the property theft cord over here. You got the TIF theft cord over here. You got the migrant crisis theft money over here. They done just took the Invest Southwest money and turned that into a bond. You got people, black men out, asking for help when it comes to housing. This black man with a black wife and black kids kept ignoring black people down at City Hall. So it just was crazy. It was like, insane. So before I moved back to Chicago from Atlanta, I would hear about like the teens coming downtown and acting crazy. My mom would tell me and stuff like that. And I used to just always say, well, they don't have nothing to do. I said, you got to greet them. I said, they're kids. They're going to be destructive. They all got ADHD. They eating sugar and eating oodles and noodles and not learning nothing. But I didn't know that the schools were this bad. Like I didn't know we were this, like it's this bad out here. So saying that to say that when I got back, and that's when my mother was living in Streeterville, and that's when I was realizing the migrants were all over downtown as well, with kids on every corner selling these baskets with candy. And then you had the you had the inner Chicago that was on the same street that my mother resided on, and it was just out of control. Like it was just real crazy. And then you got the kids coming down there acting a fool. You seeing it on the news. They were speaking about it on the news. They don't even talk about it on the news as much as they were talking about it on the news when it first started happening in Chicago. And then at first I was like, well, the kids was locked down for a while and those type things. I'm like, they out of control. Nobody wasn't paying attention to them. Some people had to do drive-through proms, drive-through graduation. Some people missed their proms. No one never really, that took a toll on them. Like that's a whole nother mental health dynamic that nobody hasn't even tapped into yet. Again, I have two god kids. One god kid got her grades up so she could graduate and go to prom, shut down. Then my godson, he was going into high school and he had to do his graduation thing outside. Like it was just all messed up. But life went on without checking on the most vulnerable, and the most vulnerable are our children that are growing up in this weird society. So both my god kids came to visit me when I was living in Atlanta. So my godson stayed with me for about 6 months, maybe about 4 months, maybe four or 5 months. And then my goddaughter stayed with me, and she just had a baby. And she stayed with me for about four months as well. So at different times. So I got to speak to my godson, and he explained how COVID affected him, and how basically he knew that he was going to fail school because he said it's hard to concentrate on Zoom, and everybody's playing a game, everybody's live streaming. I already know, but he's like, but he has his plans on him going into the service and things like that. And once he left, he did ask for his I think he was going into his senior year. Could he enroll? Could I enroll him in school in Georgia, because he wanted to, be around people, be around kids and stuff. It's just that I was all over the place, and that's a big job for that. I was already, he had him for 4 months and taking him everywhere and stuff like that, which is, he's a great kid. If I would have probably had like a house down there, like I literally was gonna had a house, everything was good, I probably would have let him do his senior year there, because he's not a bad kid at all. And my goddaughter, she came as well, and I asked her about how she felt about the whole situation, with COVID and things like that. And she had plans. She wanted to go to nursing school, and then she did photography in school, and she just, ended up pregnant. So, and that's how that went. So if my god kids dealt with it like that, then imagine other kids, right? Cool. So when I moved back and I start hearing about the teen takeovers in my mom's building, 600, she used to live at 600 North Lake Shore. This was Taco Tuesday, 2023. And I was getting ready to go out with some friends, but before, they had like an event upstairs. So go upstairs, and there's a retired school teacher and her daughter, who is a veterinarian. And we're sitting there and talking, and the mother, she was telling me she was a school teacher. I think she was like 80, 81. And she just was saying how times have changed, and she's just glad that, she retired when she retired. But, like when she was a school teacher, they would never allow this. And then, her daughter had asked me, this is when they were rolling out the Narcan machines as well, because she had just was like, I just don't understand why these Narcan machines are everywhere, or you're going to give them Narcan, but at the end of the day, who's going to be the responsible drug addict at the time to give the person Narcan if they end up ODing? So, yeah, riots. That's how I feel. That's how I feel, Miss Rhonda. But they be trying to tell me I be bugging. So that's why I'm gonna break down my story, and then I'm gonna get to what they are. But yeah, I think that's what they are. So lady, so after the Narcan machine discussion, she asks me, she was like, I don't know what's going on. The kids are coming down here, jumping on cars, and, they're fighting the police, and they're fighting. I think one time there's like fighting the CTA bus driver, all this crazy stuff. So I was like, oh, well, you got to understand, they was locked up for this pandemic. Also, no one is greeting them. I said, like, if I was in control of the city and this would continue to happen, when I know, I would figure out or know when they were coming, or if clearly kids have a routine, they're going to continue to do the same thing. So I will find out who's putting this together or who's announcing, and I would, if it's going to be, I would offer them something. Like I would have Grant Park. Like I would have the biggest college job fair, like in like just on the planet. Like it would make history. Like I would have all the colleges there. I would have all the recruiters from the service. I would have on the spot hiring. I would have free food. I would have music. I would have gaming machine, the gamer things. I would have AI content creation. I would have, it would be like, they would be surprised. Like they would be surprised. And I would have, of course, I would have the police, I'll have those people there as well. And to get the riffraff, get the ones who, come down here, they just angry just regardless, because they're just gone. They got a psychotic something in their brain is just not all the way wired. So some of them, like I said, you can't save them all. So but you can weed out the ones who are just crazy. I will offer them. I would have civics down there. I would have them register to vote if they're I would break down what voting is, and then that would be a time. So it would be from 3 p.m. until 10. Maybe till 9, and then I would make sure that all CTA buses would make sure that they get home. They would get home. Make sure that all the kids get on the CTA bus. Bam, police officer on there. Make sure they get home. Everybody to whatever. You're taking a train, CTA train. The ones who do not want to go in the house, all right, bet. Jail. You're gonna get locked up. But the locked up part for me would be and my mother can contest to this. I was a problem child, and when my mother could not spank me anymore, or couldn't punish me like that no more, and she knew that she couldn't, I was getting older and I was gonna do what I was gonna do regardless, she started calling the police on me. And she did it a lot. And I came from a small hometown, and I would go be in a holding cell. And because I was under 18, they would put me in a holding cell for 10, 11 hours. And then I would go talk to the judge. My mother would be in there, and then he'll let me go home. But every time that I did that, and I I would go do the holding cell situation, sometimes I'd be in there with other people, right? Other kids, other youth. And I remember them crying and saying, "So I ain't never coming back here. I ain't never coming back here." Da, da, da. Some of them people to this day, I know them, right? They've never ever went back. They never ever went back because that holding cell scared them. They had no record, no nothing. A person, you have to. Some of these kids, you're gonna have to give them the holding cell treatment. The holding cell. If you ever been arrested or locked up before, the holding cell is the worst part of jail or prison. And I feel like a lot of these kids that want to act crazy, want to fight, want to do all this crazy thing, if you put them in a holding cell for 48 hours without charging them, majority of these kids are not going to come back out here for them teen takeovers, because they won't be able to do them 48 hours being musty or seeing fiends coming in and out of there, dope sick, all of those things. It takes a strong, a different type of mindset to continue to go back and do the same thing. When you get them at a young age, and you show them just the holding cell part, and you keep them in there for a minute, and then you get a judge who is not a corrupt judge, but a judge to give them their warning and let them know that a lot of them are not going to repeat the same thing over and over again. I know people now, if you ask, you ever been locked up before? Oh, girl, yes. One time I had a ticket. I didn't even know I had a ticket. They had me in that holding cell. Never again. I can't do that. And some people never went back. There's some people that just ain't doing it. They just not built for jail. So, and a lot of these kids that's out here, a lot of these girls that they not built for jail. But if you don't have, if you're 2,000 police down, if you have a incompetent mayor who is a foster child with severe abandonment issues, he's not going to care either. and I want to make this very, very clear because I have nothing against kids who are adopted or kids that come from the foster care system. What I have an issue with is the vendetta that people have coming from the foster care system due to the abandonment issues that they have because their parents did not want them. Now, there's certain circumstances like parents got, killed, your child was, you were being extremely abusive to your child, things like that, certain things like that. But like for a mother, especially a mother, to outright just don't want to have nothing to do with their child, let alone the father don't want to have nothing to do with your child, and then you get adopted or you go into foster care, and that like that's your story, and you're not getting no type of psychological help for that, psychiatrist help, anything like that, then you don't care. Why would Brandon Johnson care about these takeovers when his parents didn't even care about him? Okay, that's why he joined the gang at a young age. That's why he got that weird foster parent set up with that pastor and Elgin. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the system. He came from that same broken system. The foster care system is much more broken than when he was in the foster care system. They really don't care now because you got people like him who's mad, who's part of this messed up system, and he don't care to change the system because he mad because nobody never came looking for him. So you got to understand that. When you don't got any parents who do not care, if your real parents didn't care and your foster parents barely care, because a lot of people be foster parents to just get that money. They don't care about the other part of taking care of the kid. And then some kids, they different. So you have a mayor who coming from a foster care system that does not care about the kids because no one didn't care about him. So now he plays this he plays this part like, oh, we just need affordable housing. We need affordable housing. No, we don't. The affordable housing is out here. Matter of fact, a lot of this affordable housing that you guys put together as the front to get this money, they're not even filled up. They're like, when I say like the occupancy rate is high because there's no one, you guys aren't putting people, the people who need it, the parents who need the affordable housing, like the ones like the CPS students who are still in shelters and stuff, their parents and stuff, they all in shelters, but they go to CPS. They should get the affordable housing, but you don't care. You have a mayor who does not care because he's a Haitian immigrant. So he's trying to overturn this city, and you've got idiots that are standing with him because they're offering them contracts for more affordable housing construction. That's never going to happen. The whole thing is a whole racket. We need recreation centers. We need recreation centers that are AI, they content creation, they're media journalism. We need CNA training. We need trades. We need people to understand. We need people to understand how to build computers. We need customer service to help with seniors, since you guys want to keep pushing all this technology on our seniors, and our seniors are getting confused and got to do this and got to do that because y'all are Y'all don't care about that. Like, y'all don't care if they, if they learn or not, because y'all are trying to get rid of them, because y'all, like what y'all do now. Y'all have literally taken their homes away from them and put them in them I call them senior jails. Y'all build more senior jails. Don't care about our kids. Don't care if they're illiterate or not. So you're dealing with a bunch of kids out here that are illiterate. You're dealing with a bunch of kids out here that have no parents, like Brandon. You're dealing with a lot of kids out here who have normalized shootings, have normalized fighting, have normalized having sex at a young age. They have normalized that that they can get what they can get. You got more young kids dying every day in the street, and you have this man that comes on TV and says that they need that police is a sickness and they need affordable housing, while he has 130 police detail. He wears a vest, a bulletproof vest. Like, this we want another term of this. We want another term of this because he don't rock with the police, because he's an active gang member, and he trying to run this like barbecue did in Haiti, because he's a Haitian in real life. You dealing with a bunch of immigrants that are trying to take over this city. Susana Mendoza, Alexa Janulius, George Cardenas, this man right here, Brandon Johnson. I mean, and they're going to only take care of their people and the people that they enslave to do their dirty work. You got hustlers right now that screamed and yelled about how dangerous Brandon Johnson was and what they were doing and all this stuff, to turn it around and say that we gotta stand with him. Stand with him for what? Stand with him for what? He lied about the investments in both communities, the South Side and the West Side. He just did the Bud Billiken parade. Hold on. The Bud Billiken parade. We went to the Bud Billiken parade. We was in the Bud Billiken. And I'm glad we got up out of there. But he also was in the Bud Billiken parade. Him, Mayor, him and Kwame Raoul, that we don't never see, and Pritzker and Christian Mitchell. Daily Call did a real good thing on it. Let me see if I can find it. Because we're not gonna play this. We're not gonna play this game like here it is. Like we don't got a problem here. Like, we don't have a public safety problem in this city. And Brandon Johnson and Alexi and Pritzker and Kwame Raoul, and everybody can act like it's not happening, but it is, and it's a problem, and it's been a problem. But they don't care, because this CVI money that they're getting is out of control. They want to make everything a race thing. They want to make everything a race thing. But when it came to them fighting over here at the Bud Billiken parade, man, they haven't said nothing about it. They didn't do nothing about it. You know why? Because they had their security and they kept it moving. Man, it must not be on this one. It was so good. Somebody sent it to me earlier. Man, If I find it, I'm gonna put it out here. I ain't want to put. Dr. Fauci needs to be in jail. But yeah, they did it the best. The Daily Caller, but I don't see it now. So they must have put it on X yet. But but yeah, we went there. We were all the way in the back. You know, we did what we had to do. But just look at this. This is all of it. This is at the same parade we were at. They waving, taking pictures. Hold on. Look at this. This took her whole wig off. I said, wow. Is this it? See, that's the good stuff, which is good. Look at this. You got every type of police right there. You had the University of Chicago police. You had the regular police. Oh, sorry. That was hilarious too. This was on Roosevelt. Malls closed, everything closed. So I don't understand where y'all think these kids supposed to be going, honestly. Yeah, I took the little party plate, the little party spots and stuff for the teens back in the day. One more. That's him. He's saying how electric it was. That's him. That's how happy he is. Brandon Johnson from Chicago, yeah. That's how I know they're crazy. And the people with him are crazy. Like his strategists and stuff, all of them are crazy. Every one of them, everyone that they've hired, they honestly don't know what they're doing. Oh yeah, this was cool. I did this one. He says the 97 annual Bob Billiker rate was one for the books. Yeah, it really was. It really was one for the books. But he will not discuss the fights. He won't discuss the fights. Why should he discuss the fights? Because all he's going to say is that these kids need all this stuff. These kids need this. These kids need that. And he doesn't care. He does not care. Let me tell you something. At a young age, and you know that it may be a situation or a dilemma. I'm going to use me for an example. My mom knew that my dad was not going to be in my life the way that she wanted him to be in my life. And she never said anything negative about my father to me, none of those things, anything like that. Any decision, anything that I decided how I feel about my father is because of me. So when I was 7 years old, I've always been in therapy. And my mom, my therapist at the time, his name was Dr. Morrison. My father went to 2 sessions with me. And the first session that we went to, I was 7 years old, and I was explaining to my father how, I can't, I wish I could see you more, but I know you're busy, and things like that. And, and I was like, but, we're going to figure it out, stuff like that. But I was happy because when I did see my father, I was happy to see my father and all those things. But my father never gave an excuse. He never yelled at me. He never did any of those things. He never gave an excuse why we were in therapy, why he didn't see me. He let me talk, and I will never forget seeing my father cry. And my father cried both sessions, right? So moving on, getting older and older and older, I saw my father when I saw my father. Then when, I played ball and things like that. And my father used to play professional football. So a lot of people knew who my father was in my hometown. And, I never had any ill feelings towards him because I would never forget those therapy sessions that I had with my father and watching him at a most vulnerable time, and those things like that is why I feel like at a young age, you got to get your child in therapy, a therapist that you trust. Sometimes you got to shop around. You probably got to shop around really now because all these therapists are social workers and all this crazy ass thing. But therapy is a must. It's needed, and especially in our communities. Therapy is not pushed. And it's not pushed, even in churches and stuff, they don't push therapy, and you got to have therapy, especially with the times that we're going, and we're taxpayers, and we're being lied to. You understand? The establishment has been lying. And then the one person who's telling you what's really going on and basically showing you, hey, this is what's really going on. Y'all are hating him, and that's Trump. Trump is the only one that offered the National Guard to come in here. Pritzker said no. Brandon Johnson said no. Tony Preckwinkle said no. Claire Kwame Raoul said no. Juliana Stratton said no. They fought Trump. They lied. Said, Pritzker lied and said that, walked on the lakefront. It's no crime here when you see his police detail behind him. He's taking he thought he was cool that he was taking a ferry or a boat to the press conference to say we reject President Trump. We reject President Trump, but then you end up a couple of weeks later taking a picture with one of them crime prevention CVI scam people. Let me see if I get this real quick. That's another scam. That money. There we go. Let's see. Get it. Shout out to CWB. I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is the governor. This is what we have to. This is what we're currently working with. A governor that told us that we don't need any help, that we don't need the National Guard. There's not a crime problem. There's not what he's doing is a racist and dictate, and he's a dictator and all these things. Hold on. Where is it at? Governor's office is withholding records tied to peacekeeper charged with murder. A conservative watchdog group is suing the office of Governor J.B. Pritzker, accusing the administration of unlawfully withholding public records tied to a photograph showing a governor posing with a peacekeeper just days before he allegedly involved in a deadly Michigan Ave smash and grab. And speaking of it, the CW Chicago is the first outlet to report that Kellen McMiller, a man wanted in 4 states, posed with the governor in Inglewood days before the fatal incident. The reporting highlighted a photograph from the event that the governor's office scrubbed from its website after McMiller was arrested on the murder charge. Judicial Watch filed the lawsuit last month in Sangamon County Circuit Court, seeking a judge's order compelling the governor's office to release photographs, communications, and vetting records relating to McMiller's appearance with Pritzker on September 5th. Just 6 days after the governor posed with McMiller, around 5 a.m. on September 11th, burglars backed a pickup truck through the display window at the Louis Vuitton store at 1919 North Michigan Ave. Prosecutors said the crew stole goods worth nearly $700,000 and fled the scene in several vehicles. Chicago police arrived as the crew was loading into getaway cars and one vehicle, a black Kia, carrying McMiller and 4 other burglars, sped down Michigan Avenue at 77 miles per hour while running red lights before slamming into a Honda CR-V at Ohio Street. The Honda's driver, 40-year-old Mark Arcetta of Skokie, was killed in the crash. He was heading to his final shift at Northwestern University before starting paternity leave. His wife gave birth to their son shortly after his death. McMiller was arrested and charged with first-degree murder in connection with the case. The lawsuit centers on what happens next. Judicial Watch says that McMiller was exposed as one of the individuals pictured with the governor. The Pritzker administration removed or edited images and online materials documenting the event and then failed to comply with Freedom of Information Act requests seeking records about the encounter. As CWB Chicago reported first, the governor's office posted an online press release after the governor's appearance, calling peacekeepers trusted messages in the community. Pritzker said on Facebook, "It's folks like these we need more of doing the hard work of community violence prevention. not troops on the ground to undermine efforts fighting crime. The press release page included images from the event, including one of Pritzker standing side by side with McMiller. The image was quickly scrubbed after the Michigan Avenue incident, but CWB Chicago located a copy of the photo on Google and published it. News outlets across the country followed up on our reporting. The photo's disappearance from the governor's press page prompted questions about how and when the governor's office learned about McMiller's alleged involvement in the Mag Mile burglary and murder. Judicial Watch submitted its FOIA request on September 20, 2025, seeking a wide range of materials, and its lawsuit says the governor's office acknowledged the request the same day, but the governor's office failed to produce anything of substance even after requesting and receiving 2 deadline extensions. The lawsuit complains. The lawsuit asked the court to declare the governor's office in violation of FOIA, order the immediate release of all non-exempt records at no cost, prohibit further withholding responsive documents, and award attorneys' fees and costs. Yeah. So this is our governor, our current governor, that did not want the troops to come in here and start cracking down, even when the thoughts, when these people thought that President Trump was bringing the troops here. It was quiet. Nobody wasn't. It was real safe out here. It was real safe out here because they didn't know what was going to happen and what was going to happen. So it goes back to bringing the National Guard here because we're at no point of return, and to start getting these kids lined up to get jobs, get them into school. You know, some of these, if these kids feel like they graduating from high school, if you are a parent out there and you're listening, if you know someone who has a child or you have a child and they feel like their child did not learn anything and they feel like they're going out here and can't really do anything, they need to sue the city, they need to sue the superintendent of the school, they need to sue the board of education, and they need to sue Pritzker, the city. That's what I would do. I would start with that, and I would take it on honestly. I would and try to get the Department of Justice involved because these kids are graduating to get the money, and now that President Trump is holding the money, it ain't the city ain't really got it like that. You know, they're trying to figure it out, but they really ain't got it like that. The property tax money is running out because they've been stealing property tax money for so long, and they ain't got no money to give back because they take everything. So yeah, it's getting crazy out here. The rec centers need to be around, but also we need to make sure that everything is of this time, and we need psychologists. We need psychiatrists, psychologists. We need mental health therapists, not social workers. We need to fire everybody at DCFS. We need to fire everybody at DCFS. We need to look into these family court judges. We need to fix the foster care system. We need to bring back Job Corps. We need to bring back Job Corps ASAP. We need to get some civics 101. We need to get a lot of teachers to teach these kids how to read and comprehend, because there ain't no purpose of doing anything with a child if they can't read or they can't comprehend. Okay, that was one of my challenges when I was growing up. I would read, but I understand anything that I was reading. I had a good teacher. My name is Miss Skorowitz. Shout out to Miss G. Miss G she would be with me after school, and she would she would not let me leave until after I read the chapter and I broke down everything that I read. And I was in second grade. I will never forget Miss Gorowitz. So that right there you're going to have to bring those type of teachers back. And that's it. I do believe that there's a lot of good CPS teachers that are tenured. They're 20 years, 30. I've talked to some teachers that have broke down what the problem is in school. Some people say it's the parents, but some people say it's the school, it's CTU, it's the curriculum. I mean, it's everybody. You got some parents, but it's not all parents. Then there's a lot of things that were in the school for parents, like Parent University. I just found this out. Something called Parent University. They're taking Parent University out, so the parents really aren't involved. It's honestly, they're trying to make the public school a pipeline to be able to take your child, because they need the bodies. They need the bodies for the money. They don't care about anything else. I'm trying to tell you, like, we out here on a chopping block. The Democratic Party does not care. Like, it's communism. This is their version of financial communism. Everything they say that Trump is, nah, it's them. It's them. They literally do not. The foreigners have taken over the Democratic Party. Foreigners have taken over the Democratic Party. The communists have taken over the Democratic Party. Socialists have taken. Popular dummies have allowed it to happen because they went to this school or that school. Some of these people have slept their way up to the top to get this government job, so they don't care. It's just sick, and it's going to continue to be sick until we get some real people in there that know how to operate government and want to change. They know the solution. They want to fix it. These people talk about people get mad at me all day, or Danielle all day, because we're bringing up what's going on, right? What's the solution? I gave y'all two solutions when it came to the teen riots, because it's going to continue. They're going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Do you know that kids are getting killed at the teen riots? They're not talking about that, right? I talked to 3 different people, 2 being 2 kids. Kids have been killed at the teen takeovers or teen. That's why I call them teen riots. But they're not. But nobody's reporting on any of this stuff. They can't report on any of this stuff, because if they report on any of this stuff, more of the stuff is big. Okay, now y'all, they lying over here. Yeah, I don't blame them doing team takeovers. Yeah, I don't blame them either. But you're getting killed. This is not just like a meetup and everybody talking and stuff like this. Nah. I'm not seeing this lady said earlier, okay, now go up north and get the team takeovers that's up north. Well, I haven't seen the team takeovers up north. So if the whites are doing team takeovers, then give me the footage. Now I do know that it's them whites up there is on ketamine real bad, real hard. They charging the stuff, the mess out they health insurance for ketamine. So I know that. I know that, and that's why majority of them be junkies, and the kids be junkies, and they come down the highway heroin, and go to Cabrini Green and get whatever they need, or wherever they got to go and get their drugs, and then go right back up north. I know that part. The white people told me that. White people tell me, they say, you guys have that up there. I mean, I know what you guys are going through, but we have a whole ketamine problem up here, and mold. They living with so much mold up north as well. But the difference between their mold and the mold out south, the mold out south, they don't care that you see it and it's exposed. Them people up north, they're painting it. They're putting new carpet down, knowing that they're building this stuff up with no ventilation. And them white people up there, they dying slowly off the toxic. At least in out south, you're gonna show it. You can take pictures. You can do all. You can send it to the city. You can do whatever. You know what they do? They be like, you know what? Just go to Daily Plaza. Just go pay off one of the judges and say that you want to give everybody out and then offer them cash for keys. Then you can get them all out. Now everybody got an eviction on their list, or they can't go find a place because everything is expensive. But now they got this. They got everybody out this moldy apartment building, and they're gonna rehab it and gut out and redo it again while that mold is still in there because they don't fully take it off. The whole Chicago is full of mold. The reason why we have an environmental, I try to tell you, the whole city of Chicago is a public threat. It's a public threat. It's a public threat. It's a public safety issue. And the commander in chief, the president of the United States, can't even come in here because of people like him and Brandon Johnson, who don't care. So he one of them people like, I had to figure it out. These kids got to figure it out. I had to figure it out. My parents, I had to figure it out. He don't care. He don't care. He got a vendetta. That's why he's mad. That's why he's angry. That's why he just be saying anything. White supremacy. White supremacy. What's Jackson Potter? What's Pritzker? Yeah. All these people be fake, phony, or fraud. No, ICE never was. And that's another thing too. People be talking that crazy stuff about ICE was targeting Black Americans. Nah, they targeting the illegals. Y'all just saying anything and everything because y'all really on that crazy stuff. It's so sad. So sad. So sad. Nah. It's so many blacks that we've talked to in the past 2 weeks that want ICE. They want ICE here. Like they want ICE here. That migrant crisis stuff was like that was crazy. That was a lot. So that's what happened. But yeah, anyway, you got a lot of kids out here that want to be they want to learn. They are interested in being a good, productive citizen. But when you have the education system that's broken, crazy, when you have the housing system broken, CHA needs to be investigated. Like I said, the Department of Education, the Board of Education has to be investigated as well. DCFS, we have a guy that's in our group. He's dealing with he can't get custody of his child, Ray. They will not give him custody of his son. His son is becoming a teenager. This is the most important time he needs his son. But with the foster care system, with the family court system that he's over, this guy right here, that's the problem. So yeah, like we need there's no structure out here. It's no structure out here. The Democratic Party, like I said, has turned into a foreign party and has turned into LGBTQ. They believe they want us. They push abortion on us, but not abortion on anybody else. You have what's the other word? They believe they're trying to push that a trans woman is the same as a biological woman, and trying to normalize that and push that, and everybody knows, anybody that has any type of respect for women know that that's not true. Also, they do not care about the alpha male. They definitely don't care about the black alpha male, but they're starting not to care about any alpha male because they need you to be emasculated. They are the party of KKK. They're the party of the slave. They are the party. They are the party of they're thieves. They're the party of victims, narcissists. Like it's one big mental health illness, and they are the party of racists. They have white supremacy has assimilated into Hispanic supremacy, foreign supremacy, LGBT trans supremacy, but the LGBTQ supremacy. It's just sick out here. They don't care about the seniors. They don't care. All they care about is the people who are going to work for them, who are going to slave for them, who are going to push their fantasy propaganda, who's going to put, they just sick. They sit here and talk about Trump all day, but Trump trying to bring the National Guard here. Trump has been trying to bring ICE here. That's what they've been trying to do. We have Trindiago gang members that are in our communities, mixed with our gang members. So yeah, like it's and honestly, it's a competition. Y'all believe in that? You know, we have allies. We have allies. We will always have allies. We have great allies. Miss Carol Reyes is an ally. Gerardo is an ally. We have our allies. We have Uncle Mike. He's an ally. You know, but the black and brown, the white and brown, all that, we're all humans. We're all Americans. We are all Americans, but Black America has suffered the most. And we suffered the most because we vote blue no matter who, because we're just colorblind. And also we do not read. We're not being taught anything. And we have to deal with trauma after trauma after trauma. And then Obama. I watched them progressive Hispanic Democrats down at City Hall when it came down to that migrant crisis. I watched how they played the victim and this black and brown, black and brown. Well, all the gang violence, all the stuff that goes on to our communities, all them when Michael Youngbay and all them was coming down there asking for help because they need a place to stay and stability. They didn't care about none of that. Our aldermen didn't care. The Hispanic aldermen didn't care. None of them cared. None of them. Let's see if I can. Look at this nigga. Yeah, make him famous. But yeah. So anyway, you gotta pray for our kids. That's number one. But you're also gonna have to need law and order. And that's just what it is. Eventually, they will see that this is not the life that they want to live. There's some people that they get locked up one time, never happen again. Some people that go a few times, then they finally get to the point like, nah. And then there's some that just can't stop going to jail. They just can't. They just cannot stop going to jail. And so those type of people, you just got to leave them where they at, in jail. Okay? The crime is never going to go down if you're not going to start punishing the criminals. It's not okay that our kids are on the corner fighting. It wasn't okay that Bud Billiken is supposed to be the second biggest parade in the country besides Rose Bowl. And then it's also supposed to be the only big like y'all like to say, African American parade. And then from 10 to 12, it's all cool because that's when the news gets the first 50. But then after 51 and 51 down, good luck, because they're going to start, you know what I'm saying? They may fight, they may shoot. You know what I'm saying? There was a lady that had a gun. She was trying to shoot at the Bud Billiken parade. I'm saying, like, it's like, come on, man. And then you have all of these elected officials there. All of these elected officials walk that same parade where all them people, all them kids was fighting at and doing all that. That's nuts. That's nuts. All right, y'all. Peace.